Petco Park enjoying its second year of hosting baseball, the home of the San Diego Padres. And welcome inside. And tonight, Clint Hurdle has done a little shake-up with his lineup. Corey Sullivan will be in center field, and he'll bat at the top of the lineup. More on the shake-up of the Rockies lineup in a few moments. Good afternoon, good evening, as the case may be. I'm Drew Goodman. Well, the Rockies have now lost 6 consecutive games. They've lost a couple of tough one-run games going back to Los Angeles on Sunday, 2-1, and last night 5-4 here in San Diego. One bright spot from the loss last night was the play of Todd Helton. He's starting to swing the bat. Let me bring in my partner, George Frazier. Helton looked like the Helton we're accustomed to seeing last night.
Absolutely, Drew. This is a guy that came out last night and all of a sudden said, you know what, why would I change anything to begin with? And we're going to show you some things here on tape. Look at Helton from last night and then on April 8th at San Francisco. Watch the weight transfer. This is the key. You watch the backside from the knee to the middle of the waist to the shoulder area. The weight transfer to the backside. The shoulder will turn like it used to. The knee comes up high like it used to. And the results like it used to. It left the ballpark again for Todd Helton. Everything very good right here. Watch where his head is on contact, right on the baseball. Now we're going to roll tape from San Francisco. The stance a little wider. He's trying to calm down the upper half to keep it on the baseball longer. You'll see that he doesn't have as much weight transfer to the backside of his body when his pitch comes. It's more upright, the leg kick, the shoulder turn, and the result is you pull your head off. I mean, you're not on the bat or the swing. The head goes. That's a weak fly ball to the right side. And when you're trying to correct things, why do you want to change things? Look at your career statistics and see exactly what you've done. It's pretty obvious. Second among career leaders in average is among active players. First in sluggage, second in on base, the home runs, the RBIs. Todd, why do you want to change anything? Why panic? You're going to hit 338.
You want to know what? There is no reason to panic. It's not like he was hitting a $120 after April. He was a notch below 270, and he looked like the Todd Helton of old in last night's ball game. Well, Todd looks to swing it, and Jamie Wright looks to hold down the bats of the
Rocky Mountain.
Well, we are set for baseball. That man is Tim Redding. Came up in the Houston Astros organization, and right before the start of the season, the Padres made a deal. They were looking for a 5th starter, and Redding has fit that bill. At least he's taken his turn every 5th day. He has not pitched very well. He is 0-4 with an ERA just below 8, George, in his last 2 outings. He's lasted just 3 1/3 innings. Tonight is Interactive Tuesday. You have a question for us? Send them to foxsports.com. The search, Rockies Booth. So get your emails going this evening. We'll try to answer as many questions and thoughts that you have. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Corey Sullivan. Ground ball, left side, base hit. So Sullivan is aboard. This is not an unfamiliar spot for Corey Sullivan. About 98% of the time in his minor league career, he hit at the top of the lineup. And look at the shakeup. Rockies have lost 6 in a row. Preston Wilson has a little bit of a groin strain, so he's not in there. Barmes and Helton in their familiar spot. Hoppel hit cleanup. Garrett Atkins in the 5-hole. Matt Holliday dropped to 6. Todd Green has the gear on, and Luis Gonzalez will play second base. So a little different lineup tonight for the Rockies. And here is Barmes, who is atop all of baseball, along with Derek Lee at .416. In fact, they are both 37 of 89 at the plate so far this year. Not bad, George, when you can go 0 for 11 in your first 100 at bats and you're still hitting .370.
Yeah, and he's pretty familiar with Redding. Redding pitched against the Rockies AAA affiliate a couple of times last year while he was stints in AAA. Matter of fact, watched him. This is something Barmes does very, very well.
He really does. He handles the bat, lays down bunts as well as anybody in a Rockies uniform. So Barmes, in a ballpark that does not give up many runs, moves Sullivan to second base.
Yeah, Hurdle playing a little small ball against Redding. His overall numbers on the year: 0-4, 7.94 earned run average in 17 innings, just 8 strikeouts. The opposition hitting nearly .350. Well, this is time's really not on this kid's side. I mean, he needs to pitch well at 0-4 already. Has a hard slider. And again, these younger guys, with the exception of Helton in this lineup and Todd Green, they've seen Redding numerous times, and Helton saw him and his stints with the Houston Astros. When he came to the big leagues, he was in that same group as Oswalt, Miller, that highly thought of. It just has never panned out at the big league level.
One-0 on Helton, and that is at the knees for a strike. Redding faced the Rockies for 1 out earlier this year. He pitched a third of an inning on April 6th, and he got Todd Green to ground out. Sullivan out there for Helton. That misses. Charlie Relaford's calling balls and strikes tonight. Angel Hernandez is at first base, Greg Gibson at second, and Brian Runge is at third base. Helton's home run to right field last night is double to left center. And the breaking pitch misses.
This looks like a familiar sight, really, with Helton at the plate, even though his average down. Home run totals not what they typically are. Pitchers are staying away from Todd Helton. 2 off-speed pitches to the outside part of the plate to run the count 3-1.
And they miss away. So Redding didn't want to deal with Todd Helton, clearly, based on that pitch sequence. Let's take a look at the Padres defensively. There's Damian Jackson in his second tour of duty with the Padres. He's at shortstop. He was just called up from Portland. And Adam Heisdu was let go. He had the 3-run double last night. Klesko, Robertson, Giles in the outfield. Burrows at third. Mark Loretta, of course, at second. Phil Nevin at first. And Ramon Hernandez behind the plate. 2 on, 1 out in the first for Brad Hopp. Fastball runs away. Hopp, the final out of the ball game last night. I like the play. I like the aggressive play. Down a run. Couple guys on 3-0, and some people say, well, why was Hopp swinging 3-0? He is hitting 386. He runs into one, you may be up 7-5. I thought it was a good aggressive play, George.
Well, yes and no. I know Clint mentioned after the ball game last night that you just hate to take the aggressiveness out of a guy that runs at 120 miles an hour the entire game. It's tough to back him off and expect the same results from him.
Two balls and a strike. So Clint Barmas, the rookie of the month, of course, in the National League in April. Brad Hopp was second. Redding made 27 appearances, 17 starts last year with Houston. He went 5-7 with a pretty high ERA, 5.72. In fact, he was sent down at one point. 2-2 curveball, and that hung up in the zone, and Hopp ripped it foul.
Well, if there's been one knock, you listen to scouts talking, they tell you that Redding tries to outthink himself. His stuff is plenty good to win at the big league level. He's always looking for another punch out all the time versus just trying to let the bat meet the baseball and let your defense do the work behind you.
Lefties hit him to the tune of 345 last year. That's low. Two-seam fastball sinks away. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Brad Hopp. We're in the top of the first. Sullivan singled. He's at second. Atkins on deck. Todd Helton, who was walked semi-intentionally. Sullivan breaks for third, and the ball is hit in the air to deep center field. Roberts going back, still going back, and at the top of the wall, he pulls it in. So Brad Hopp gave it a ride. They ran out of juice about a foot from going out of the ballpark.
Well, this ball hit as hard as it was the other night at Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles. It's heavy air right here on the ocean. The ball just does not carry. Roberts backing up to the wall.
The 2 gone, and Garrett Atkins steps in. This guy will spray line drives all over the ballpark. He gets the fastball. Strike 1. Middle game of a 3-game set between Colorado and San Diego. And the breaking pitch in the air to shallow right field. Giles coming on will make the catch. Rockies leave 2 on in the first. San Diego with the bats when we come back to Petco Park. Torrey Pines Country Club. They'll host the U.S. Open in 2008. Of course, Phil Mickelson always seems to play well on, though he plays well in a lot of venues. Jamie Wright set to go, and Dave Roberts takes strike 1. Well, the story of the season so far for Jamie Wright, as you look at Dave Roberts' numbers, he has been very, very good on the road, and he's been not so good at home. Line drive, base hit. So Roberts does as Sullivan did. He leads things off with a base hit. Here's the rest of Bruce Bochy's lineup, brought to you by Mako. Mark Loretta will be next, then Giles, Nevin, and Klesko. And that threesome is not really broken out yet, though Phil Nevin's starting to hit the long ball. Ramon Hernandez behind the plate. Sean Burrows at third. Damian Jackson will be in the 8-hole. And Tim Redding, of course, will hit ninth. Jamie Wright is 1-0 on the road with a 1.35 ERA. The opposition hitting 174 on the road against Jamie. Of course, he has that great move, and he checks out a guy who can fly in Dave Roberts. At home, Wright is 0-2 with an ERA of 13.94, and the opposition hitting 422. I mean, that's an unbelievable disparity.
Well, it really is, and you look at those numbers. Here they are right now, 135 out on the road. Earned run average for Jamie Wright. Right along with Clemens, Hudson.
It's a good group to be in.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know one thing that Bob Apodaca and Clint Hurdle want from Jamie Wright tonight. They want him to rely on that great sinker of his. He got away from it last ballgame. He threw far more breaking pitches in the last ball game, and he got hurt with them a little bit.
Well, exactly. Quick tag. Ooh,
very close.
Angel Hernandez. This is a guy you don't go to sleep on, Angel. Quick feet with Jamie Wright on the pickoff to first base. You really got to pay attention. You catch him leaning a little bit towards second, slips, and then the tag. Yeah, he got under, barely. But he does get underneath the tag of help.
Whoa, that was really close. He takes off, and on the slider, Green's throw is not in time.
Third stolen base of the year for Dave Roberts. Main purpose that they acquired Roberts to bring him here to be a leadoff man. They'll steal bases, set the table for these other guys. Big jump, a little higher leg kick from Jamie Wright. The throw offline from Todd Green and up.
Loretta, did he hold up? He did not.
Yeah, big,
good slider from Jamie Wright.
You get out here at sea level. Wright's got a great slider and a ball that can move away. And we'll take a look at Wright's numbers on the year. Record at 1-2, 685 earned run average, 10 strikeouts. The walk's a little high for Jamie, 23 2/3. Good out on the road. Pitch to the big part of this ballpark. Get the ball airborne. Stay on your sinker. Just what Drew was talking about. Don't back away from the sinker. Your sinker's your contact pitch. Curveball and slider, your swing and miss pitch.
Brian Giles steps in with un-Brian Giles-like numbers. 193, 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. I was chatting with him before the ball game. He is not overly concerned. This is a guy that is a career 300 hitter, and he's He's done it for a long period of time. And one thing baseball players who have experience always remember, whether it's individually or from a team standpoint, it is a long, long haul. He said, hey, there's another 140 games to be played, basically. A lot of time to get the average up.
Well, I think the reason for concern opening day, 3 RBIs and a home run versus the Rockies, just 8 RBIs since then. But you work your way out of those things. He'll do it.
He will. He's too good a hitter not to. Here's the 1-1 on Giles, and it is popped up left field. It's a big out from Wright's perspective because Giles in his career has raked against Jamie Wright. Here's the defense for the Colorado Rockies. Holiday, Sullivan, and Hopp in the outfield. So 2 rookies and a second-year player. Atkins and Barmas, couple rookies on the left side. Gonzalez, a second-year player, and Helton at first. And Todd Green, the oldest of the bunch. And he's not that old. Early 30s. Giles was hitting .450 before that at bat in his career against Jamie Wright. Phil Nevin takes strike 1. Nevin's starting to hit the long ball. He's got 6 jacks. 21 driven in. I would think, George, that Bruce Bochy, he's not happy to be 12 and 14, but considering the fact that his big 3 have not really hit so far, to be right around 500 is not a bad thing. Fastball 93 on past Nevin.
The velocity, Wright started to show the same velocity that when he signed a contract with the Rockies as a young kid.
Oh, and 2 on Nevin. Nevin's average at 250. That is the highest of their big 3. Giles, Nevin, and Klesko. Ground ball toward the middle, and a good stop by Gonzalez, and he'll throw it home. That saved a run. An infield hit by Nevin, but the fact that Luis Gonzalez got to that baseball keeps it scoreless for the moment.
No question about that. I mean, Nevin gets a little top spin on this hard sinker. By getting the top spin on it, you're going to create velocity about right there. And Gonzalez able to go over and slide backhand the baseball and then get it right back in. A strong throw to Todd Green. That just froze everybody up. Piccolo thought about it. If he goes, he's out by 25 feet. Wouldn't have even been close.
Ryan Klesko steps in at 247. And the fastball just beneath the knees. Well, our gun has him at 94, and the in-house gun was a notch above that. So Jamie Wright's throwing hard.
Well, he's throwing hard. That may have been part of the problem of pitch to Nevin on an 0-2 pitch, trying to throw the fastball by him. It may have leveled out enough that he could turn around on the baseball.
I always used to hear, George, you subscribe to the theory that sometimes a sinker baller is at his best when his arm's a little fatigued.
Absolutely. There's no question, because you start to overthrow the baseball, and when you do, it straightens out. Jamie obviously feeling a little frisky tonight. The velocity touched the mid-90s.
And the slider ties up Klesko, so Jamie works ahead 1-2. In his last outing, a 9-3 loss to Florida. He went 6 1/3, gave up 7 runs on 10 hits. But in that ball game, Jamie Wright did not walk a batter, and I don't think he came close to walking a batter. His control was impeccable.
Yeah, you go back and look at that ball game and study that game. It was not that bad a ball game for Jamie Wright. He gave up most of his damage came in the 7th.
On the swing, no. They check it out at third base. Meanwhile, Phil Nevin took off. So Nevin in scoring position at second.
First stolen base of the year for Phil Nevin. He's just going to take off as soon as he sees the leg kick from Jamie Wright. They check it at the third base umpire, Brian Runge. He'd get the answer the Rockies wanted to see.
Here's the 2-2 to Klesko.
Good pitch. And the reason I say good pitch is because of the location of the pitch. And what you do, and the reason I say that, as a pitcher from the right-hand side, You've got a big guy at the plate, 6'4", Ryan Klesko. You got a long swing with Klesko. If you can back a little bit off of it and have that break where it's diving down in here, if contact's made, it's going to be contact in foul territory. But more times than not, you're going to get a swing and miss at it. Wow, where was that? 89-mile-an-hour fastball right on the inside half. That's a pretty good pitch. I mean, you're talking about a big guy at the plate. I mean, that pitch is not that far on the inside part of the plate. I mean, Klesko's even got a late reaction to it by curling the elbow in.
Yeah, it froze Klesko. It may have frozen Charlie Relaford. Strike three there. On a borderline pitch is strike three. So Jamie Wright with a knee-high fastball fans Ryan Klesko at 2 in scoring position. Back with George Frazier, I'm Drew Goodman. Beautiful Petco Park in downtown San Diego. Let's take a look at our Diamond Shamrock Diamond details. Best records at Petco. How about the Rockies last year? 7-4 at Petco, and it's a club record for most road wins in one city in one season. Matt Holliday swings at the first offering from Redding and fouls it off. Rockies last year went 10-9 against San Diego. All time, they're 91-87 against the Padres. The only team in the division they have a winning record against. Boy, that slider was a hit-me slider.
Giles is going to give Chase have a chance at it. It's get difficult to run over the bullpen mounds. The Rockies have a chair out there to watch it. You're supposed to pick the chair up, but you can have a late move. There's nothing wrong with that.
Can you think of another stadium in baseball where one team, the home team naturally, has a bullpen and the other team has a couple of mounds down the
well, no,
down one of the foul lines?
And realistically, if you pan right over where that cement walls or the bleachers, I guess it is, to the right of the center field backdrop, that's where they were supposed to be originally. And then they said, no, let's put the inexpensive seats over here. We'll allow the fans and let them watch it. That they'll watch and see. Well, this is the seats they put in where they thought about putting the bullpen, way over on the right-hand side.
Well, I guess it's 50% better than what happened at SBC in San Francisco, where they forgot altogether about the bullpens.
There they are. That's what I'm talking about.
Fouled off again by Holliday.
Usually where you get the bullpens on the inside part of the ballpark is where they play football also. Then that's where you'll see some of them, typically.
Not too many of those stadiums left. RFK for a couple of years for the Nationals. Ground ball right at Sean Burrows. Pretty good pair of hands with Burrows, and he throws out Holliday. That'll bring Todd Green to the plate. Rockies have just one road win this year. It came in Philadelphia. There are 2 other teams in baseball that have won just one time away from their respective home parks. Tampa Bay, and the other team is more of a surprise. This ball's crushed left field and deep. Forget about it. Second deck shot for Todd Green. He just flat smoked that. Second home run of the year for Green, and the Rockies have a 1-0 lead. That thing would have poked a hole in the stands.
Well, if you go up and you look fastball, as Green does as a fastball hitter, and you Tim Redding thinking, you know what, I'm going to give my best heater here right on that middle half in and just see what happens to it. They're asking for the ball down and away. Belt tie. You don't hit balls very often into this area in this ballpark. That is a strong man swinging the baseball bat. That second deck up there above that.
That guy catcher with his bare hands. That's pretty impressive.
Well, that's not really.
All right, so Tim Redding comes up and in on Luis Gonzalez after the home run. That was not lost on Todd Green. He's filing that one away. Rockies up 1-0. Gonzo getting a start at second base. Here's the 1-1 to Gonzalez. And it's chopped foul.
Well, let's check the first email tonight. It comes from David in Lakewood. He says, George, what's the best pitch to throw in the major leagues? Why and who is the best at that pitch? Let me tell you, best pitch in all of baseball, strike one. Doesn't matter what you do with, David, it's just strike one. Why? Well, obviously you're ahead of the hitters. And the numbers will tell you when you're ahead versus behind in the count, and it's pretty easy to pitch in the game of baseball. And you look at the great pitchers today. Maddox is great at throwing strike one. Clemens, Johnson, guys with great success at the big league level and a long history of it.
Slowly hit. This could be a problem. Burrows, and he got it to Nevin in time. Good play by Sean Burrows for the second out.
Well, this is all about timing, coordination, staying down on the baseball to make sure you get there, and then a quick flip. A long arm throw there, you don't get Gonzalez. You got to make that snap throw, like turning a double play ball from second. Good play by Sean Burrows.
And an easier play for the third baseman angle-wise than the shortstop Jackson. In fact, if Jackson has to field it, more than likely it's an infield hit. Jamie Wright fouls it off. Jamie's 3 for 9 so far this year. Had an RBI in his last outing. I think many longtime Rocky fans think that Jamie may be older than he actually is. He's just 30. He was their #1 pick back in 1993, so people have heard the name Jamie Wright for a dozen years in Denver. He was plucked right out of high school. And this will be another base hit for Jamie Wright. So you come to Colorado, George, and if you're a starting pitcher, even if you have not swung the bat well in your career, you start to.
Rubs off on you from Jennings, who's probably the best hitter the Rockies have. Kennedy, a solid contact guy. Jeff Francis getting better at it every single day.
Shaq will swing the bat a little bit.
Chacon can swing it, but not like Mr. Jennings. He's really an added weapon on that bench for Clint Hurdle if you want to use him as a pinch hitter late.
Sullivan, a slow roller, and Nevin will field it and make the tag. And that is all for the Rockies in the second, but they break the ice. Todd Green, a no-doubter to left. 1-0. There's Bradley Hopp, rookie out of Fort Worth, Texas, playing right field tonight. And he's part of our Pizza Hut Call of the Week. He lifts it to center field and deep. Going back's Bradley, still going back, and he runs out of room. That's how strong Brad Hopp is. I didn't think he caught that good enough. He leaves the yard to dead center field, his 4th jack of the year, and the Rockies are on the board. Brad Hopp is a strong man, and George, he almost left the yard in this ball game. He hit one to the top of the fence that was gloved by Dave Roberts in his first at bat. Here's Ramon Hernandez, 276. He thought he left the yard last night. He hit a ball to deep left field that was caught right at the edge of the track by Matt Holliday. And when Holliday came up again later in the ball game, Hernandez told him, he said, I thought I hit that out of the ballpark. That's how tough it is to hit it out in this facility. I mean, that ball was hit pretty well, and it's, you know, mid-range center field in the glove of Brad Hopp, 1 out. Let's check our next email. It's from Spokane, Washington. Mark asks, you guys have got to see the Padres a few times now. How do you like their chances to win the National League West, possibly get in as a wild card? I think the National League West is going to be very, very competitive. The Giants took a big blow when they lost Benitez. But I think when you get the middle of that lineup rolling, even Loretta, George, he hasn't hit the ball like he can yet. When Bochy gets the lineup in concert with a very strong starting rotation, I think and a very good bullpen, they have as good a chance as anybody to win the division. I really believe that.
Well, I do too. I think that the key is going to be their 4th and 5th starter, whether Woody Williams and Tim Reddick could do their job in the starting rotation, because it is a 6-inning ball game for these starters. I tell you, the only thing about the wild card side of that, I'm not sure they can get in under the wild card. I think the National League East, the toughest division in baseball. I think there's going to be clubs there with great records. And I also feel like that the National League Central, once that you start to deal with the Cardinals, you start to deal with the Houston Astros.
Base hit for Sean Burroughs. Well, here's the deal. I mean, you make the point that these teams in the National League West may beat up on each other. I think the same thing is true in the National League East. That may prevent a couple of teams that may have 100-win ability from being in that 100-win category.
Yeah, the only one, and I'll be honest, I don't think anybody in the East is going to win 100. I think there's going to be 3 or 4 will be in the 90s. But I don't think anybody there is going to win 100 ball games. Florida, all the closers are falling out of trees like leaves in the fall. I mean, it's unbelievable how many guys have gotten hurt, closers, just in the last 14 days.
Ground ball toward the middle. Barmes there for one. Gonzalez, nice hands. They double up Damian Jackson. Well done up the middle. Started by the Rookie of the Month in the National League, Clint Barmes. Nice hands by Luis Gonzalez as well. 1-0 Colorado off to the 3rd. Leading hitter in baseball, Clint Barmes steps in. 1-0 Colorado on a Todd Green home run. Drew Goodman, George Frazier from Petco Park. On a beautiful evening for baseball. Isn't it always here in San Diego?
Well, it's a pleasant night. I mean, you come in every night at 65. Now, Friday, they're talking about showers here. Good thing the Rockies leaving tomorrow on Wednesday to head to Florida. Miss the rain.
Slow roller out in front of the plate, and Redding jumps all over it. 1 out. This from Adam in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. George, with Barmes, Hop, Francis doing so well. He was wondering if there are any other good prospects in AAA or AA that Rockies fans have to look forward to, and absolutely they do. And it's not just AA, but beneath there.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian Stewart's starting to play again. He's a great player. I look too. I think Spire and Dolman will be back sooner than people think. Dolman pitched 2 great innings last night with 3 punch-outs in his 2 innings of work. Good command of 2 pitches. For Colorado Springs, Chu Freeman, another prospect that if he could just find his niche on a consistent basis, I think he's going to be very good at the big league level.
2-0 on Todd Helton. I'll give you a couple other names to keep your eye on. People have heard so much about Ian Stewart. Chris Nelson was their #1 last year in the lower minor leagues. There's a pitcher, George, that's really starting to catch people's attention, and that's Samuel Deduno. And Damian Jackson on a clean hop just dropped it. So Helton aboard on the error by Damian Jackson.
Yeah, a lot of times when you start to charge the baseball, you try to keep it up in front of you, and that ball just hit off of the heel, popped out of the glove. Jackson couldn't hang on to it. And a lot of shortstops make that decision to try to catch on a clean hop so they can have a better throw to the first base bag. And Jackson looked like he just got a little aggressive and follow the ball into the glove.
A couple more guys to answer the question from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Jeff Baker will be back up at some point this year with this club. I believe that. I think he's going to be a terrific hitter. And he's a guy that was playing third base, and the way Atkins is swinging the bat, you figure that he'll be an outfielder in the big leagues, but a guy who's versatile for Clint Hurdle eventually. And Jeff Salazar is a good outfielder, runs very, very well, hits with some pop. He's playing in Tulsa, George.
A college kid out of Oklahoma State University, so he has that experience, the added age. He had a tough time adjusting to the wood bat early, but lately has swung the bat very well.
That truly is the most exciting thing going on with the Colorado Rockies. The fact that they have a lot of young kids who are doing well at the big league level right now. It has not translated to victories yet, and that is ultimately the bottom line in the major leagues, wins and losses. But also some of the young guys they have down beneath.
Well, Ubaldo Jimenez, another hard-throwing right-hander.
Juan Murillo.
Yep, Juan Murillo, another guy that throws the ball pretty hard. Dragon Lowe's throwing phenomenal.
Yes,
and
he
nine punch-outs the other night, or strikeouts the other night in a ball game.
That's pulled through the hole, so Brad Hopp keeps on swinging the bat. Let's get it to Denver. Get an update around baseball from Mark Soisher. Mark, what do you know?
Well, we know what happened tonight in Cincinnati. The Redbirds and the Reds, and that's Reggie Sanders. In the gap, it is the 1,500th career hit for him. Drives in Jim Edmonds. Cardinals winners tonight at Cincinnati, 4-2.
All right, Mark, thanks for that update. We'll be checking back with you periodically this evening. It's Interactive Tuesday. There's a fastball right on the outer edge for a strike against Garrett Atkins. Rockies with 4 hits off of Tim Redding. First and second with 1 out. We've got another email coming in. Brandon from Denver. Hey, Drew, what's harder to hit, a good fastball or a good changeup? Well, for me, they'd all be difficult. But you know what, George? I think from a deception standpoint, hitters go up there. You got to look fastball and adjust off speed. Ground ball to third. Atkins got to get up the line. It's going to turn into a double play very quickly. If you have a nasty changeup like Trevor Hoffman, that can be the best pitch in baseball.
Well, it can be. The only thing I would say to go on top of that a little bit, if you've got command of a good fastball, Rick Maddox has won 300 doing it.
1-0 Colorado, middle of 3. Jamie Wright's first pitch out of the strike zone to Tim Redding, ball 1. Rockies lead 1-0 on Todd Green's second home run of the year. He hit it into the second deck, the porch in left field. Oh, that is nasty. That is much snap as we've seen on a breaking pitch all year from Jamie Wright. Look at that, George.
Yeah, you get on top of it, you write it down through the strike zone, the good angle. That's the key. You look at what he's doing, throwing the baseball, and he doesn't get the call strike there, but throwing the baseball down in the strike zone, snapping a good hook off, and it's all about angle and being patient with your body, the release point, the feel, something Bob Apodaca has worked with. And people forget, as far as Bobby's concerned, Jamie was with Bob Apodaca in Milwaukee when he was the pitching coach there with the Brewers, and that's when he had won more games than any other year in his career.
Pretty solid tour through the lineup the first time. 3 strikeouts. There were 3 base hits for San Diego. No runs, most importantly. Budweiser, what's on tap? We are not televising tomorrow afternoon's ball game. First time this year. Thursday's an off day. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from South Florida. FSN will have the ball game on Friday and Saturday, UPN 20 on Sunday, and then Monday it's home to see the Atlanta Braves, and we'll have a pregame show 6 in the Mountain Time Zone on FSN Rocky Mountain on Monday. Dave Roberts lined a single to center field his first time up. Former Los Angeles Dodger, picked off a ring last year at the Red Sox. And he rolls this one at Luis Gonzalez, 2 gone. So Roberts goes back to the dugout, and we'll see second baseman Mark Loretta. Loretta started the day at 284. In his career, Mark a 303 lifetime hitter. He had 335 last year. And he takes a fastball at the knees for a strike. Loretta, a product of Northwestern University. Rockies had a pretty good player who went to Northwestern. There's that nasty curve. Just missed 1-1. Joe Girardi.
He's got a pretty nice job right now, although it might be a little bit warm in that dugout with the New York Yankees as bench coach for Joe Torre.
I like the quote from Brian Cashman today in the paper. This ball's hit well left center field gap. Sullivan running hard, lays out, can't get there, scrambles to his feet, and Loretta will have a double. What an effort by Sullivan, especially to pop up quickly.
Yeah, pretty nice play. And let me tell you, not that easy because of the positioning of where Holliday's there. He's not going to get there in time to back up the play. And Sullivan realizing, you know what, if I catch it, great play. If I don't, he's only going to get a double. He's close to the wall, so the ball's going to come back to him in a hurry. And just an outstanding effort by Sullivan. Just missed it. I mean, by inches from catching that baseball. He quickly got to his feet and got the ball back in.
You will see that Corey Sullivan is a very, very good outfielder.
He's a gamer. He's not afraid to give up his body. Play.
Barmes was playing Giles up the middle, and that's all for the Padres in the third. Positioning, positioning, positioning. It's like real estate. Location, location, location. Barmes in the right spot, and an easy play. Giles off the bat probably thinks he has a base hit. Rockies lead at 1-0. Clint Barmes and the Rockies have a 1-0 lead as we go to the top of the fourth inning. And for Colorado, Matt Holliday will lead things off, to be followed by Todd Green and Luis Gonzalez. Holliday grounded to third his first time up. Matt got into one last night, George, that he thought he hit well enough to get out of here, and he just died around the warning track.
Well, when he hit the baseball last night, realistically, I think it would have been on the walkway Coors Field. I do. And it just got out, and it was like it hit a curtain and dropped straight down.
All these metaphors tonight for you. I kind of like it. Hit it.
Well, you know what? And you watched him at BP today. He's trying to get inside the baseball because he feels like his hands are getting ahead of the baseball so much. He's just not making solid contact with it base hit wise. So he worked in BP today at 2:30 very hard with his hands with the ESPY, trying to get to a point where he's able to react to the baseball. And I think he's starting to get frustrated. I think he's starting to get too aggressive at the plate. He doesn't need to. Just let his natural ability take over.
First strikeout of the ball game for Redding. Let's take a look at our Affleck trivia question. Affleck! Duck's got to be a little quicker. Who's the only Padre in team history to lead the league in home runs? I got this one wrong. Not that that's a big surprise, but
hey, thinking back about guys that played here, a home runs hitter. Steve Garvey's got his number here. Retired. He's not the guy. Dave Winfield does. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's not the guy. Everybody thinks about Nate Colbert leaving the yard. He's not the right answer.
That's right, and we'll leave it at that. I thought it was Nate Colbert. It is not Nate Colbert. 1 ball and 1 strike on Todd Green. He's the difference in this baseball game. He launched a home run to left his first time up. And he spanks this right at the third baseman Burrows, who will throw him out. Let's get it to Mark Soicher quickly in Denver. Another update. Mark.
I'm all caught up on the Affleck thing. I thought it was Nate Colbert too. 5th inning in Detroit. That's Doug Mirabelli. A grand slam off of Mike Maroth. That was the difference. Tigers 5-3 winners tonight.
All right, Mark. I thought it was Nate Colbert also. You and I are both wrong yet again.
I thought, you said you started to talk about Brian Cashman and his comments in the morning's papers that he had seen enough.
Yeah, he said, I want to be closer to the team the way things are going right now.
Did you read the article where it also said he called George for permission to fly to Tampa?
Yeah. I read that.
They ask him, you're in the last year of your contract. You worried? No.
1 ball and 1 strike on Luis Gonzalez. How many GMs do you think have to ask their owner for permission to go out on the road with the club?
Well, I tell you. Hey, good to see Bill Geivett. He drove down from his home, watching the ball club take BP today, watching the ball game tonight.
In fact, he's going to be getting together with Billy Schmidt here, director of scouting for the Rockies, director of the getting ready for the June draft. They're going to look at some prospects, and Redding enjoys his best inning as he strikes out Holliday and Gonzalez in a 1-2-3. Well, if you're just jumping on board, here's our Taco Bell game reset. There it is, right there. That's all you need to know. That blast off the bat of Todd Green is second of the year. That's the only run. Jamie Wright has had a very good curveball. And he induced a ground ball double play to close out the second inning. We go to the fourth, and Phil Nevin, the cleanup man for San Diego, will lead it off. Nevin had a infield hit his first time up. Ground ball up the middle. Luis Gonzalez dove, kept it in the infield, and that saved a run because Dave Roberts was rounding third. And if it gets past Gonzalez, it would easily be a run. And Nevin fooled badly.
86-mile-an-hour slider from Jamie Wright. Are you kidding me? His arm has to feel outstanding because in his last start he averaged 86 to 89 with his fastball. The big hook that he dropped on Nevin, then he went to the slider away, and there's the fastball. Pretty good pitch, caught enough of the plate, just up. Wright obviously feeling very good tonight.
There's the nasty hook, and Jamie Wright fans Phil Nevin. Nevin almost wrenched his back trying to get to that breaking pitch. One out, and here comes the duck again. Our Affleck trivia question. Who's the only Padre to lead the National League in home runs? We told you all the people. It was not the Crime Dog with 35 home runs back in 1992. That led the National League. Think about that, 35 home runs. That put you about 12th these days.
You sure? I don't think you'd be in the top 20.
Well, think about this. A few years ago when McGuire hit 70, and then of course Barry Bonds hit 73. 35, half.
Good hook again. Well, you think of the year he hit 70. Sosa had what, 63?
Was it 64?
Gonzalez had 50
that year.
Gonzalez had 54. And Arizona,
he had 57, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you kidding me?
Left field and playable for Matt Holliday.
Well, the reason Jamie Wright has pitched well in this ball game, 42 total pitches, 11 balls thrown in 3 2/3. Are you kidding me? That is outstanding for Jamie Wright.
Well, he did this last game, George. I mean, the final numbers did not look good, but you and I both remarked that Jamie had better stuff than the final outcome revealed. A 9-3 loss to Florida. 2 gone very quickly, and Ramon Hernandez, who had a line drive to right his first time up. Another email, this one from Larry in Arvada. Great job on the games. We thank you, Larry. Just would like to know if you think this bunch of young men will win more games than the Pirates. And this will be a base hit for Hernandez. No, Pittsburgh's scuffling right now.
Well, I'll answer it. I think they will. And the reason I say that, I think consistent starting pitching is going to get better. I think this club's going to learn to put 9 innings together. You look back at the season, there's been one ball game, one that I could think of, that everything clicked. Jason Jennings' complete ball game. They didn't have to go to the bullpen, but they swung the bat well. They played great defense in that ball game. A lot of ground ball outs. A lot of opportunities for the defense not to make the plays, but they did.
We've said it a bunch of times, and I know the bottom line is it doesn't matter whether you played well for 6 innings, 7 innings, and you come up short. The bottom line is you lost, and right now you are who you are, and the Rockies are 6-17. Numbers don't lie. However, I do tend to agree with you. I think that the Rockies are doing a lot of things well, but they have not been able to put together a complete game, whether in all facets. The bullpen has to be a whole lot better, we know that. But the Rockies coming into this ball game with 17 losses, they've had a lead in 13 of those losses. So it's not like they're going out and they're getting blown out 10-2, 11-4, and not really competing.
How many games have they had a lead after the 7th or going into the 7th inning of ball games too? I think that's 7. So I mean, you start to add those numbers up and you can flip things around, and And I think they will. I think Watasic is a good move for the bullpen. He's a veteran guy that's worked in those areas before. I think he's going to be a plus in the bullpen. Fuentes is starting to throw the ball a little better.
Here's the 1-2 to Burrows. He got him. Boy, that is just a filthy breaking pitch. Green throws to first, and he got it there in time. 5th strikeout, 4 innings for Jamie Wright. Rockies leading 1-0. Jamie Wright, Tim Redding hooked up. We go to the top of the 5th inning. Thursday, it's a special live presentation of the best damn light heavyweight fight period, sponsored by Kingdom of Heaven, as 2 former champions meet in a title eliminator bout. Montel Ice Griffin will take on Julio Cesar Gonzalez as both men try to move one step closer to regaining the title. That's Griffin Gonzalez Thursday at 8 p.m. only on FSN Rocky Mountain.
How about this? Jamie Wright trying to get another base hit.
Jamie 4 for 10 this year, swinging the bat. And you know what? He stayed on that breaking pitch pretty well. Sharply hit at Damian Jackson. Jackson in the Rockies camp last year throws him out, 1 out. Corey Sullivan will come up. Sullivan a single in the first and a ground ball to Phil Nevin in the second. Another rookie that kind of fallen beneath the radar because of what Barmes has done and last couple of weeks what Hop has done. Corey Sullivan, when given an opportunity, has performed very well. Two and 0. Let's check our email line again. Jim in Denver has a question from a partner. George, were there hitters that you felt you owned and any that seemed to own you?
Well, you know, it's funny. I probably ought to have my wife, Kay, answer that. She used to laugh at me. She said, guys like Doug Flynn owned you, but you got out, you know, Carter, you got out Rose, you get out Brett, but get Doug Flynn a punching Judy shortstop up and he tears the fences down. She's probably right. You know, I don't know if it was just a confidence thing or not a confidence, but a lack of focus, thinking I got a guy, you look at the board, he's hitting $180. You know, and you think you groove a fastball and he'll hit a nice little ground ball, one hopper for you, and then all of a sudden.
How about the big names? Any of the big guys?
Ripken, I had him early in my career, and then later on, he just tore my head off.
2-2.
See, I had a theory though. I thought guys, big hitters, you know, they always felt like, and I always tried to attack the strike zone on them. But guys like Don Mattingly, when I went to the Twins, and Puckett, different guys, I thought slow, and slower, because they're such good fastball hitters that if you, the harder you threw it, the farther they hit it.
This is in the air to left field. Klesko will have it. 2 outs. There are just some matchups that, you know, it could be 2 outstanding players and it just favors one. Remember Mike Hampton and Sean Green? Left on left. Sean Green, his career at one point was 12 for 16 with like 6 homers off Mike Hampton.
Just amazing. They see the baseball so well.
Piazza and Clemens.
Same thing. How about Larry Walker and Randy Johnson? Walker wouldn't face him for a number of years, and then all of a sudden he was like 8 for 10 against him.
That's another good one.
Hey, by the way, very quickly, good friend of ours stopped by, Jim Darby. I've known him 30 years. Started out with the Mizuno Glove Company, was here at the ballpark today, now working with Easton. And was in Denver earlier today with a good friend of ours.
Well, he was with Joe Sakic today, and Joe helped him out at a meeting. He wanted to pass along a big maximum strength checking. And Jamie Wright's first pitch is lined to center field for a base hit. Damian Jackson aboard. Tim Redding in a sacrifice situation. In there for a strike. That bunt goes foul, so it's 0-2.
Really important pitch coming up from right here shortly.
From Durango, Colorado, and Matt, why doesn't the infield fly rule apply when there's just a man on first? It applies when there's runners at first and second and the bases loaded. And the reason for that is to avoid a fielder automatically dropping it and producing a double play. It's never been the rule book with just a man on first. They try to bunt 0-2, and he is gone.
I like the way this Jamie went after him. After he got 2 strikes, he went hard, breaking ball down and away from him. 53 total pitches, 40 strikes, 13 balls. Hard to turn a double play here. Roberts, good speed from the left side. Jackson at first with good speed.
Roberts backs out. One clarification on the infield fly rule, and the reason you wouldn't have it just with a runner on first. With other runners on base, you get a double play with the runners at second, the runner, if it was bases loaded, and several other options. If there's just a runner on first, the ball's popped up, as long as the batter does his job, he's going to get up the line, and you're just going to get one out. You're just going to get a force at second base. Whereas if it's first and second, obviously both runners have to hug their respective bases. So even if the runner gets up the line to first, you can get the force at second, the force at third, and produce a double play that way. And the same thing with the bases loaded. That's why the infield fly rule is put into effect and would not apply if there's just a runner at first base. Hope we haven't thoroughly confused you. Got another one from Dan in Fort Collins as Damian Jackson cleans his uniform. Show you Dan's question in a moment. Jackson doesn't move, and the pitch is inside. 1-0. I'll tell you what, Dan, we have a special answer for your question, so we're going to get to your question a little bit later. We haven't forgotten about you. That's on the inside corner, 1-1. Rockies trying to protect a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 5th. 2-1. Padres last year set an all-time attendance record, drawing more than 3 million folks. So last night there was just 20,000 and change here, which was the smallest crowd they've had at Petco.
I think part of that, Drew, is school's still in session. It's April. You're not playing good, or May. You're not playing great baseball.
And you know what, to be honest right now, the Rockies are not a big draw. Stolen base for Jackson.
Well, Jamie's changing his delivery to the plate, which what he's done is raised his leg up. I freeze it right there. You see the high leg kick. You know, a lot of guys will use that slide step, but with the kick up here, Jamie feels more comfortable doing that. It allows the runner to get a bigger lead, but he feels more confident with his release to the plate. You don't want to sacrifice location and delivery at the plate, turn what could be a stolen base into a great big inning.
Wright is struck out 6. A strikeout here on 2-2 would look very nice. 1 out. And he got him. Boy, he has a nasty curveball tonight. Strikeout number 7 for Jamie Wright, who typically does not get a lot of strikeouts.
No, sinker ball pitcher that gets a lot of ground ball outs, but because of the hook tonight, now see if he slide steps, there's a chance he may hang that thing. Runner at second, look back, big kick, got on top and had a good pull out front.
And now a very tough out in Mark Loretti. Doubled his last time up. Starts him out with another hook. It misses. Ball 1. Due up for the Rockies. Guy you've heard of, Todd Helton, Brad Hopp, and Garrett Atkins. Day game tomorrow, then it's off to Fort Lauderdale. 1-1.
When you have the type of stuff Jamie Wright has tonight on the mound, and I'm talking about the curveball and the slider, you know, you as a catcher, a lot of times it'll limit where you're going to move. And what I mean by that is you square yourself up right behind home plate. Don't worry about moving out here because there's much movement. You watch Jamie Wright's curveball. I mean, it is so nasty tonight, and the downward tilt on it is just tremendous. A lot of times you square yourself up and have him throw the ball to the middle of the plate. A minute ago he threw a curveball to the inside part of the plate that was called a strike because of that huge movement he has tonight. Velocity 94 miles an hour.
That fastball, George, he's throwing a couple like this, almost looks like it's cutting.
Well, he's little finger pressure with your middle finger will create movement away from a right-handed hitter. It works almost like a slider, except it's a flat movement away from it. Threw one to Phil Nevin a few minutes ago at 87 miles an hour and just blew Nevin completely out of the batter's box. It's a great pitch. So, yeah, that's a hook.
And it got him.
Yeah, addicted. You know, and all that was is Jamie just flew fast with his shoulder. That's all it was. He just spun off of the pitch, and he knows it. I mean, watch how these shoulders just rotate out of there. See how he just spun off of it? The arm never had an opportunity to get there. Man, just give you a great angle. I mean, his arm's just way too back for a proper release.
2 on for Brian Giles. Fly out and a ground out so far for Giles. Jackson, who can really runs at second. Loretta, who has decent speed, is at first base. Two and out.
He laid off 2 pretty good pitches there too.
I can't remember a 2-0 count tonight. I'm sure there's been one.
Not many. Only 20 balls thrown in the entire game for Jamie Wright. You're in the 5th inning, so you do the math. It's not very many. .65 pitches right here in the 5th inning.
The only run of the ball game, a 2nd inning. Solo home run from Todd Green. He went with the sinker and he missed. It's 3-0.
Just tried to back off velocity-wise. Create some more movement on a 2-0 count, fastball count, as Phil Nevin waits in the on-deck circle as to maybe get him to roll the hands over and get you a ground ball.
On the corner, 3-1. Crowd didn't like it, but Charlie Relaford's been fairly consistent tonight. He has called the low strike.
Well, I think the reason they didn't like it is because part of it, Giles started to walk out of the batter's box. I like this call, if it's what I think it is. It was.
Fair ball, easy play for Hilton. And Todd Helton tags the bag, and the Rockies work out of a mini jam. It remains 1. Back upstairs with George Frazier, I'm Drew Goodman. 1-0 Colorado on the Todd Green solo home run. We have a question from Dan at Fort Collins. We've been holding off on George. How do you throw a curveball, and what should your release look like?
Well, let me first of all tell you how to grip the baseball. Take this middle finger, the back ridge, put it right on this seam here. Hold the baseball tight. Now what you're going to do is you think about right angles, all right? You're going to think about one here obviously under your arm, into the elbow area and the wrist. So it's just fastball, fastball, and then you throw that curveball, get way out front. We'll come right back to it after this pitch. Get way out in front of the ball here, and then you pull. And you pull down, and I try to teach right elbow, left knee. So when you pull, the ball comes out, that good four-seam rotation. You get to get down on a break on the curveball, and Jamie Wright's really got it working tonight.
Very nice description, George. 1 ball and 1 strike on Helton. 3 for 4 last night. Single, double, home run. The home run, the 2nd of the season. First road home run of the year. And that misses badly. 2-1.
Well, for a guy that doesn't throw strikes a lot, Redding's into the top of the 6th inning. 21 balls so far in this game. That's not many. He really settled in after the home run by Green. The right-hander, seeing as warming up. This is his spot. Down 1, tied a lot of times in the 6th inning. They'll use him. Now, if they happen to get a lead, they'll flip pretty quick and go to Linebrink, then Otska, and then Hoffman.
2-2, and Helton pops up the breaking pitch. Loretta going out, and he's called off by Giles. 1 out. Let's check our email. This from Ramon in Denver. Would the Rockies be better off letting Helton go so they can eliminate a salary to help with rebuilding? I don't think so. I mean, you cannot field a team that has, is comprised of all 1st and 2nd year players. You have to build around a couple of veteran guys, and veteran guys that are outstanding players. And Helton's one of the best players in the game, obviously. And I think you need his leadership. You need his talent. For me, he's an untouchable.
Well, he's a quality person, too. I mean, those are the type of guys you keep around. I mean, he's a guy that his entire organization looks up to. He's the guy that the young players look up to. And right now, you think of the Colorado Rockies, you think of Todd Helton.
When you think of great teams also, and if you study a lot of the great teams in recent memory over the last 15 or 20 years, let's say, teams that stayed consistently good over a period of time had a core of players that were basically in the same age range, mixed in with a couple of players that maybe had a little more experience and brought a lot to the table in terms of talent, experience, and leadership. And I think that's what the Rockies are trying to build.
Well, here's the other thing too, and Burrows won't get there. You look at every team that has success in the big leagues, there's two things that they do. They pitch and they catch the baseball. And you're not going to get a big-time free agent pitcher to come to Denver. And that's been tried. So you develop your pitchers within your organization, and 4 of the 5 starters with the Rockies have been developed inside the organization. And I think that's something you need to continue to do. And I think the right people in place with Bob McClure in AAA, Bo McLaughlin in AA, Jimmy Wright is a roving minor league instructor. I think those guys are in place to continue to develop the pitching side of things.
2-2 on Bradley Hop, and the curveball's up high, 3-2. Well, our buddy Bruce Bochy is stuck around longer than he did last night, George.
Yeah, he's got to see a few more innings. Hadn't had a close play yet. Hadn't had anything to argue about.
He got a run in the second inning last night. First time all year. And Redding with a good fastball fans Brad Hop for the second out in the 6th inning.
Well, let me take this one, Drew. It says if Dodger Stadium has notorious for a higher pitching mound and lower totals and runs, why would the Rockies not incorporate a similar type mound at Coors Field? Well, Troy, let me put it to you this way. It's not the height of the mound. The mound's 10 inches, just like it is everywhere else. It's the slope of the mound. It is a steeper slope. And so that's the adjustment guys have to make when you go out and pitch on that mound at Dodger Stadium. It seems like you're much higher up because of the fall on the slope. And I know the Rockies have, Mark Razum has tried to slope the mound accordingly to what the Rockies pitchers like a lot.
Here's the 1-1 on Garrett Atkins, and he fouls it off. Well, with Garrett out there, we have a question from Breckenridge and Corey. The Rockies have Jeff Baker, Garrett Atkins, and Ian Stewart all in line to take over at third base. Who will it be, and what will happen to the other 2 guys? You know what? I think the more talent you have, those are good problems to have. And what I think, on the outside corner, what I think ultimately that'll happen is the best guy will play third base. A guy like Jeff Baker may move to the outfield, and we'll see about who the other guy is, whether it's Ian Stewart or Garrett Atkins. Atkins is a corner infielder first. Bottom of the 6th inning, the Rockies leading 1-0. The Todd Green home run standing up because Jamie Wright has been outstanding. Phil Nevin, Ryan Klesko, Ramon Hernandez. And there's that big curveball. Wright has had a terrific curveball. Best curveball he has had all year. It's a pitch you don't see him throw frequently. In fact, in Denver, you don't see him throw it too much. He'll be a sinker slider guy for the most part in Denver. But he has the whole arsenal working tonight. Sinker's low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nevin hits it straight away off the end of the bat. Corey Sullivan makes the catch, and we quickly take you across the mountains to Denver and Mark Sorsher. Mark.
Thank you, Drew. The Yankees shuffle in the lineup did nothing to help Kevin Brown. He gives up 6 runs in the 1st inning tonight at Tampa. Nick Green single there, drove in a couple. Devil Rays beat the Yankees 11-4. I don't know about you, but I think Kevin Brown has had it.
Well, they have some serious issues. I mean, it's not only Kevin Brown, Jared Wright.
Randy Johnson may go on the DL shortly, too. He's hurting. They have nobody in the AAA level ready to make the move up to help them. It's going to get ugly over there pretty quick with George.
Well, you may have a murderer's row, but you don't have many arms. At least in that rotation, a lot of fragile guys. Mussina's throwing the ball okay.
Yeah, won his ball game yesterday. Pitched very well, 7+ innings.
Sure, it's bumming out the rest of baseball. 2-0 on Ryan Klesko.
I wonder how it is when they cash that luxury check for whatever. What George had to pay this year, $60 million in luxury tax. And take that money in. And
I wonder who will be the scapegoat this time around.
Oh, I don't. I really don't think they will start to fire people till about June 15th. George will let it go till about then. Then he'll make them move. Go fire.
We better go foul. We got a tie game. Ryan Klesko ties it at 1. That was launched. For Klesko, his 4th home run of the year.
And asking for the pitch out here to tail away from him. You can see that pitch stayed right in the middle of the plate. As soon as it left the bat, I mean, Klesko right on top of it, the flip of the bat. He got to do it quite as many times in the last couple of years as he had in the past.
Strike on Ramon Hernandez, 1-1. Dave Maggott in with a smile on his face, the hitting coach of the San Diego Padres. Yeah, the Padres spent the first half of last year just talking about how tough it was to hit in the new ballpark. So many long fly balls just fell into gloves. They went 42-39 in their beautiful new facility last year. They had a better mark on the road. Well, this year they're off to a good start at home. They're 8-4 at home. Their problems have been on the road. Bruce Bochy, Kevin Towers laid down a new edict. There will be no conversations about how tough it is to hit the ball out at Petco. Just go play.
You know what? Before they brought the ball in out at the old ballpark, Jack Murphy, it was more difficult to hit the ball out there than it is here. So, I mean, the players just don't remember with that wall back. A lot of them were playing. I mean, you can talk to guys like Dave Winfield, Freddie Kendall. They can tell you how difficult it was in the old ballpark. I think the complaints here are the gap is right center field's 411, left center field's 402 feet. There's not any easy home runs out into those areas. And 396 to dead center field, 358 left field, 332 down the line and right, 334 down the line and left.
3-2. See you later. Ramon Hernandez is fanned.
Well, it gives me a chance to let runners of all ages and talents to join the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field Sunday, May 22nd for the Colorado Rockies home run. Enjoy a 5K run or walk ending with a lap around the warning track of Coors Field. Visit your local dugout or specialty runner stores for brochures or online at coloradorockies.com. You'll receive a great t-shirt, post-event party, and 2 free tickets to a future home game. 303 Rockies for more information.
Eight strikeouts in the ball game, a season high for Jamie Wright. His previous best was 5 at Philadelphia. What's the status of Aaron Cook's recovery from Ramon in Denver?
Well, as of yesterday,
he's moving along.
Yeah, as of yesterday, a little knot in his shoulder. He was supposed to throw a simulated game. A little bit of live batting practice. This ball beyond Atkins for a base hit to left. He was supposed to throw yesterday. They just moved it back a day in Tucson. Cook's doing just fine. I don't know that end of May, 1st of June's realistically, more like June 15th before you'll see Aaron Cook.
Somewhere in that time frame. Clint was mentioning it the other day. They haven't set a date on it. But 4 to 6 weeks, somewhere in there, they'll make sure he's healthy.
Yeah, Bob Apodaca out for a quick mention on the mound. Hey, your local dugout stores has everything to get you geared up for your next outing to Coors Field. Remember, Mother's Day is just around the corner. If you'll purchase $30 in merchandise, 2 field level tickets for $2 each. How about that, huh? It's a great deal. 303-832-TEAM for more information.
2 outs. Damian Jackson, the 8-hole hitter, up there in the 6th. Tied at 1. Tell you, one group that you never hear complaints about this ballpark, and that is pitchers. They love to work here, and here's one of the reasons why. This year, best home ERA, the Marlins. Wouldn't you know that? That's where the Rockies go next. And the Padres at 2.14. here at Petco.
You know, part of that's the talent too. I mean, Eaton, Peavy, Lawrence, they all throw the ball pretty well. Woody Williams, but this ballpark just plays such a huge role in their success.
Plesko on the left with a home run to tie it at 1. And Mark Sweeney has come out on deck for Tim Redding if Jackson keeps the inning alive. He won't with that swing. 0-2. A little bit late.
Yeah, that last hack, an emergency hack by Jackson. I mean, he tried to guess pitch, started, I'll make contact, and it was by him before he could do anything.
Speaking of injuries, key guys being out for San Diego. Damian Jackson's up now playing shortstop, while Khalil Green continues to nurse hinge injury. But Green, cracked wrist, hopes to be back in the next 10 days or so. That'll be a huge boost. Actually, it was a finger, not a wrist. A huge boost to the Padres.
He's supposed to go out and get some minor league rehab time this weekend. And start that. He's been taking ground balls at shortstop, throws to first.
One and two on Jackson. Popped up shallow center field. Gonzalez will get there. Good play by Luis. In the inning, Ryan Plesko with his 4th home run of the year has tied it up at 1. Of course, like game reset, 2nd inning. Todd Green launches one off Tim Redding. 1-0 Colorado. Jamie Wright made it stand up until Ryan Plesko did this. That's it. 2 solo home runs in the ball game. Redding has pitched well. Jamie Wright has pitched well. That was brought to you by Coors Light. Matt Holliday to lead it off against Redding. And he pops it up. Loretta retreating. 1 out. That is 12 in a row retired by Tim Redding.
Well, this is
last base runner. Brad Hopp single in the 3rd.
This is what Bruce Bochy's been waiting for somebody to grab this 5th spot. Redding, quite honestly, was horrible. At 0-4 with an earned run average near 8.
Slider misses to Green. From Tyler and Boulder. Lately, the Rockies have been getting off to good starts in the first 3 innings offensively, but then they seem to put the bats away. Is there any explanation for this pattern? There is none.
Well, the only thing is, a lot of times starters start to settle into a ball game a little bit. Sometimes they come out of the bullpen, they're tentative at the start of a game. They're not attacking the strike zone. And once they start to ease and back off, they get their movement on a fastball, better release on a slider as they get to the middle of the ball game.
Rockies need to do a better job, especially on the road in tight ball games. When you're playing in a pitcher's park like tonight in San Diego, prior to this in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium, you're going to get few opportunities to score runs. You have to get clutch hits. You have to get hits with runners in scoring position when those opportunities present themselves.
Well,
the Rockies have to do that.
Last night, the Rockies had runners at first and third, one time with one out, another time with no outs, and were unable to get a run across. Those are the situations Drew's talking about.
And that's what this game's going to come down to in all likelihood.
Yeah, I think it'll come down to somebody making a play and being able to fundamental sound of baseball, bunting somebody over. And it's going to be a battle of the bullpens here shortly.
And still, somebody's going to have to get a base hit.
Pitchers will have to make pitches. Pitchers you'll have to make pitches. You can't walk people.
Jay Witasic, the former Padre, getting loose. Jamie Wright due up fourth this inning. Now with one out, obviously he's in the hole. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's a good break and pitch from Redding. This is easily his best outing of the year. Came in 0-4 with a high ERA, close to 8. Let's get to the studio again. Get an update from Mark Soisher. Mark.
Check in on what happened at Shea, and Tom Glavine continuing to have trouble, serving it up in the first inning to Pat Burrell. 3-run shot. Phillies with the big lead in the first go on to rout the Mets 10-3.
Yeah, Glavine is having his problems. 2 outs, Luis Gonzalez. Michael Restovich right now is on deck for the Rockies. Actually, let me correct that. It is Jamie Wright on deck. Took a quick glance down there, saw a big body. It wasn't Restovich. It was another guy, 6'5", 6'6". It was Wright.
Yeah.
This ball is hit hard to center field. Roberts going back will get there. Another 1-2-3 inning. Redding in control. 1-1, middle of 7. 1-1, bottom of the 7th inning. Brad Hopp coming off a great April. Let's learn a little bit more about the native of Fort Worth, Texas, in our Charles Schwab player profile.
I'm Brad Hopp from Fort Worth, Texas. Have a wife and a little daughter, Avery Grace Hopp. My favorite reality show, I'm not a big reality show fan. My wife, she loves American Idol. My favorite parts of it was at the very beginning when everybody's trying out for it and making a fool of themselves, because I can relate to that sometimes.
All right, Brad, first pitch, Jamie Wright misses to Mark Sweeney. Active numbers, good changeup. Sweeney doing a good job, as he always does in the pinch. Not getting quite the number of at-bats he did last year. He's not getting the starts as Oatsgood gets loose that he got under Clint Hurdle, but he has been productive again. 2-1, and the pitch to Sweeney's low. 3-1. This is comfortable for Mark. He knows San Diego well. He's spent a good portion of his career in a Padre uniform. And ball.
Well, on top of
actually, the scoreboard was wrong. Now it's 3-1.
The other thing about Sweeney you got to take into account is the fact that he has an excellent eye at the plate. And he has 2 approaches. 1, I'm going to go right at you on the first pitch. 2, I'll work the count deep, get something in my favor. 4 for 16 so far this year. Outside corner. Pretty good pitch from Wright. Didn't get caught.
First walk of the night for Jamie Wright. And he had not been close to walking anybody. Friday at 5, the Rockies return to FSN as they travel to Florida for a series against the Marlins. That's Friday, 5 p.m. only on FSN Rocky Mountain. One says 5 on paper was handed me. It says 5:30 on the screen. Which is it, Mike Fox, our producers, at 5 or 5:30 Friday in South Florida? Here's Dave Roberts. He misses on the bunt attempt. Sweeney He had to scramble back to first. Actually, I think it's a 5:30 start in the Mountain Time Zone. Roberts 1 for 3 in the game. He has a stolen base. We're tied at 1. Atkins creeping in at third. And that's in there also. Roberts pulled it back, and he kind of looks at Charlie Relaford and says, come on, Charlie, that's not in there.
Well, it is a pretty good pitch, and the reason why is because he gets out in front of the baseball, and then Green stays in position to catch it. A lot of catchers have a tendency to rise up out of the strike zone because the bunt is on. They start to leave, and you block the umpire for his height vision, low or high. Green did a good job just sitting on the pitch.
Swung on and missed. Big strikeout from Jamie Wright. So Dave Roberts fails to move along Mark Sweeney.
Yeah, this is a great hook from Jamie Wright. Stays back, drives that baseball down through the strike zone, and with the kind of stuff Jamie Wright has, I know his pitch count now at 98. Boy, it just would be very difficult for Clint to go out and get him, although he's got the lefty Fuentes going with Tosic the right-hander.
Well, I think he's got Loretta, and then we'll see what Giles do up next.
Well, as Clint likes to do on so many times, he'll tell you this, is he's play the numbers.
Javier and Greeley writes, we're leading the league in walks, but I've seen good quality pitching from the starters. Why aren't people talking about that? Well, Javier, we do try to talk about it. I think by and large the rotation has been a strength for the Rockies. They felt like it would be coming into the year. Wright's been good on the road. He's been good tonight, obviously. Struggled a little bit at home. Chacon, by and large, has been pretty good. He's battled through a couple of starts where he didn't have his best stuff and competed. Jeff Francis has produced a couple of good starts. Jason Jennings has a complete game. I would agree with you. I think the starters have been pretty good.
Well, you're starting to pan this out into your bullpen. Giles against Fuentes, 1 for 13 in his career. Then you go to a Tosic. Evans only seen him one time.
2-1 on Loretta. 9 strikeouts in the ball game. For Jamie Wright, his career best is a dozen. That came in 2001 against the Astros. Sweeney takes off, and the throw to second, not in time.
Armas thought he had him. I mean, he gave the look anyway to Greg Gibson, as if to say, third stolen base tonight by the Padres. High leg kick, it prevents Green from getting the good spot behind, but again, you got to have the quality pitch. It's a part of that. And, you know, you wonder too, did Loretta get into Green at all on his throw? And the foot does just get in there for Sweeney. And throws right on the money. Yep, puts in there.
And if you're wondering, was it hit and run or straight steal? That was a straight steal, and Loretta saw him going and protected him because Sweeney never glanced and took a peek. He had his head down the whole way.
And he's a guy of pretty average speed too. Sweeney's not somebody that's going to steal a lot of bases. Just late in the ball game, they feel with Wright's high leg kick that the opportunity would be there. They took the gamble. Paid off.
And one of the things, you talk about scouting reports, you talk about looking at numbers. The Rockies haven't thrown people out.
0 for 20.
Ball 4. Loretta walks. First and second. Let's see if Clinton makes a move with Giles coming up.
Yeah, I think you almost look at a double switch from Clint Hurdle. He comes out of the dugout. Jamie Wright's got disappointment written all over his face.
Might bring Miles in with Gonzalez the last out in the 7th inning. Make that move.
Beyond the diamond for an exclusive look into Major League Life with the Colorado Rockies.
I was a Smurfs fan.
Join host Keith Flyer and Darian Boyle for an inside look at the team with Rockies Weekly. Sunday at 10 on FSN Rocky Mountain.
Warning. Don't miss this awesome deal on Comcast Digital Cable. Get up to 200 channels of quality entertainment, access to HD TV, and On Demand, a library of shows you play whenever, plus 6 channels of Stars and Stars On Demand. All for $39.99 a month for 3 months. You've been warned. Don't miss this deal. Call 1-800-COMCAST now.
Aaron Miles comes into the ball game at second base. In the double switch, he'll lead off next inning, and Brian Fuentes in there to face Brian Giles.
I mentioned earlier, 1 for 13 lifetime against Fuentes. So it's the 7th inning. Jamie Wright did an excellent job in his start against the Padres. 16th appearance for Brian Fuentes, 3.86 earned run average.
He pitched a scoreless inning in last night's ball game, a 5-4 Padre win. He falls behind Giles 2-0 with Nevin on deck. Tied at 1. Sweeney, who walked, is at second. Loretta walked. He's at first. The only 2 walks issued in the ball game by Jamie Wright, who struck out 9.
Looking at Watasic versus Nevin, mentioned that. 1 for 1. Fuentes versus Nevin. Nevin's 4 for 5 against Fuentes with a home run.
Three and 1. He's got to get Brian Giles here. Line drive at Matt Holliday. 2 outs.
There's Jamie, man. Jamie, I tell you what, it was the best stuff I've seen him have in a long time. 8 strikeouts, 7+ innings, 9 strikeouts, excuse me.
Yeah, Clint's going to match up here, George. Looks like.
Well, you have to. I mean, you look at the numbers of what Nevin has done against Fuentes. You don't run that chance or gamble in hopes that he works through it and able to get Nevin. You just don't do it.
Brian Fuentes gets his man. Yeah, those numbers stand out, even if it's just 5 at bats. So Watasic again. Jay Watasic on the left, used to pitch for the San Diego Padres. Now he's a Rocky, and he'll face Phil Nevin for just the 2nd time in his career. And this is what Watasic did a year ago.
Great numbers, 61 2/3, 57 strikeouts, 8 home runs given up, 61 1/3. Outstanding curveball, fastball will range 89 to 93.
On the ground at Clint Barnes. He'll flip to Miles. Well done. Fuentes got his man. Watasic on 1 pitch gets his man. Good day for Jim. Tied at 1. We'll go to the top of the 8th inning. Rockies very pleased with the adding of Jamie Wright. Bruce Bochy has to be thrilled with the adding of Tim Redding because he had really struggled in his first 4 outings of the year in the number 5 starter slot. The year that was, can you name the year? This is what occurred that particular calendar year. The 4 expansion teams, Kansas City, Seattle, Montreal, San Diego, record opening day wins. First Major League Baseball game is played on foreign soil. The Expos in St. Louis. And Willie Mays becomes the 2nd player to hit 600 home runs. And we'll give you the answer to that later on this half inning. Akinori Otsuka is in the ball game for the 11th time this year. He was terrific as a rookie last year, and he's been outstanding so far this year. 11 strikeouts in 11 1/3 innings. Opposition has hit .319 off him, but they haven't done a lot of damage. Aaron Miles will lead things off. He came in the double switch, and then Corey Sullivan to follow.
Otsuka an inning last night, a walk and a couple of punch outs in that ball game. His delivery, that hesitation has a tendency to throw off the hitters. I think where you really get to him, you get men on base, and all of a sudden he can't have that hesitation. He's got to get rid of the ball much quicker to the plate. There's a tendency to let the ball ride up into the strike zone.
Now the knees for a strike.
You know, something I noticed with Hernandez behind the plate with Otsuka on the hill, I mean, the difference is he gets so low to the ground as a catcher. Watch what he does. I mean, he's down so low, asking for that pitch to stay down low, not get it righted up in the strike zone. And just a reminder to Otsuka.
Miles slashes it foul, 0-2. A little bit more on Redding as the number 5 starter. You may recall, middle of last season, they traded Ishmael Valdez to Florida. He was 9-6, and they were 12-8 overall in his starts last year in the number 5 slot. Since that time, when the number 5 starter takes the hill, whoever that may be, for Bruce Bochy, last year to this year, they're 0-13. They have not won a ball game when the number 5 starter has taken the baseball. That's why Bochy has to be really pleased with the outing tonight by Redding. I mean, Redding did not give up a hit from the 3rd inning on. He retired the last 13 hitters he faced. Ground ball at Loretta. Easy play. Miles retired. Corey Sullivan, who took his spot for the evening at the top of the Rockies lineup, 1 for 3. And he throws it into right field. Loretta did a great thing, boy. He backed up first, and usually you whip over toward the line. Well, that ball was thrown toward right field, and Loretta was able to get there and keep Sullivan at first. So a nice play by Sullivan. The bunt base hit, his 2nd of the night.
Well, you talk about Otsuka, talk about feeling his position. He squared up, got to the baseball, stop. I mean, plenty of time right there. And where's he throwing it? Well, he threw it to Angel Hernandez, the first base umpire, but it was a great recovery by Loretta. Well, that tells you something in the dugout. This guy maybe not be able to handle his position well pitching-wise.
Barmes takes a ball. If the Rockies employ the running game, Sullivan pretty good speed at first, and Otsuka is pretty slow to the plate. He's got that leg kick. Sullivan takes off, hit and run, line drive, double play. Bad break. Nothing you can do about it. Tied at 1. Middle of Jay Witosik got 1 out last inning on 1 pitch. All right, the year that was, in which year did the following occur? George, you had stepped out for a moment. The 4 expansion teams, Kansas City, Seattle, Montreal, San Diego, recorded opening day wins. First Major League game played outside the U.S. Willie Mays joined the 600 home run club. 1969. Ryan Klesko, and the first pitch from Watasic bounces up there. Klesko, a solo home run in the 6th inning to tie the game. Todd Green, way back in the 2nd, hit a home run for the Rockies. Popped up, and Atkins does not have a play.
Yeah, I think he felt like that ball was going to get up into the seats. So as it floated and continued to float, it was an opportunity for Atkins to make that play. But remember, not a lot of games played here at Petco or in a lot of different leagues. Looked like it hit the glove and just went off of the heel of the ball glove. Again, not knowing the ballpark, we're familiar with it.
Wow, he did get a little bit of leather on that. And misses inside, 3-1. Rockies trying to end a 6-game drought. Inside, ball 4. So Watasic has walked the leadoff man. One of the things you look at when you try to calculate how effective a pitching staff is doing is something called WHIP, walks and hits per inning pitched. Top 3 teams in baseball, the Twins, Marlins, and White Sox, and not surprisingly, they're all very, very successful in wins and losses. The bottom 3 teams, the Reds, the Devil Rays, and the Rockies, struggling. And again, what that means, what we've done, is you take the walks and the hits and you divide it by innings pitched. So the Rockies at 1.76 are averaging almost 2 runners on base per inning. You don't have to be a genius to realize if you got 2 guys on, Watasic almost backed off that ball and he realized he had to field it.
Yeah, because of Helton charging, not sure Miles was going to get there, and then as he went to the baseball, Helton reversed back to the bat. Watch when this ball's bunted out hard. Watasic starts to go, he looks up, sees Helton, backs away, then Helton gets to the bat, just able to make the play on Hernandez.
So with Klesko at 2nd, Burrows is up there. He's 2 for 3 in the ball game. And the Rockies employ the Burrows shift. Matt Holliday creeps in a couple of steps and moves towards that left field line. That's where Burrows hits the ball very frequently. Anyhow, George, 1.76. When you have more guys on, obviously, you're going to stress out a pitching staff, and chances are, if more guys are on, more guys are going to score.
That's the way it usually works.
That's the way it does work. And the Rockies lead all of baseball in issuing walks. Took something off, changeup. 2-0. Trevor Hoffman starting to get loose, sitting on 398 career saves.
Yeah, I thought they might go ahead and walk him. Go ahead and put him at first base. 2 balls, no strikes, fastball count, put him at first, set up the double play ball. Jackson, the right-hander. And you look at the left side of their bench, Fick's still there. Outside of that, you got Ojeda, Nady, and Garcia.
Jackson hit into a double play earlier in the ball game. With his speed, he has to hit it very hard at somebody. Not the easiest guy to double up. With Watasic does throw a heavy sinker.
Yeah, you gotta be careful too, his ability to bunt the baseball. Off and make a play off the mound. Fick, the pinch hitter, out in the on-deck circle.
He's brought up from Portland, veteran big leaguer. Former Tiger, former Atlanta Brave. On the outside corner for a strike. Damian Jackson is a well-traveled one. Cleveland, Cincinnati, the Padres, Detroit, Boston, the Cubs, Kansas City, back with the Padres now. Taken off for third is Klesko. Green's throw is in time. He's out. That was a curious decision. And moving up to second was Sean Burrows. That's the first runner the Rockies have thrown out all year.
Well, not a smart play, even though with a right-handed hitter, Klesko obviously feels with the long delivery. He had a chance to steal third with one out and try to get into scoring position, yet not a smart play. Just don't try to do this. Good tag by Atkins, got out in front of the bag, pushed Klesko around to the outside. Bought a little more time for Green.
1-2, ripped down the line, get foul. It did. That slider hung a little bit. Gets away on the wild pitch, and Burrows moves up. Damian Jackson just called up from Portland. Here's the 2-2. Down the left field line, fair ball. It'll go to the wall. Burrows makes it 2-1 on the double by Damian Jackson. Well, George, Witasek had hung a slider a moment ago, and that one looked like it just sat up for him also.
Yes, it did. And again, it's just a pitch that Witasek, when you fall behind in the count, the ability to throw it for strikes, but that slider just spun, so it becomes basically a BP fastball. It just set at about 82, 83 miles an hour. Witasek obviously has a much more explosive slider than that, and has demonstrated it. So Jackson, not a good breaking ball hitter.
Talking about it earlier, good teams come up with key hits when they need it. And here's a guy that's been all over the map. Damian Jackson gets called up to play a little shortstop in the absence of Khalil Green. He comes up with the biggest hit of the ball game.
Yeah, 2 hits total in the ball game.
Robert Fick up there, and now if you're Jay Witasek, keep it a 1-run game. The Rockies will see Trevor Hoffman in the 9th. Fick, a guy who's had some good years in the big leagues, particularly with Detroit.
Atlanta, pretty good year with Atlanta. Coming off their bench also. A guy that can catch first, third. Hoffman and Trevor comes into the ball game. We're going to look at Helton, who's 0 for 2. Hoffman and Atkins. Never easy for the closer. He's 3, 4, and 5.
ball and 2 strikes on Fick. San Diego has out-hit the Rockies tonight 9-5. Swung on and missed, so Watasic gets Fick. But in the inning, there were a couple of walks, one intentional, a double. Rockies have seen Trevor Hoffman twice this year. Once he was able to close out Colorado. That was last night, opening day. The Rockies beat him up. We'll see what happens in a few moments, but first let's go to Tim Ring in Denver. Tim.
All right, Drew, speaking of Hell's Bells, has the bell tolled for the Nuggets? Well, we're at practice today, and the Nuggets say don't count us out yet. Remember, a certain baseball team from Boston. Also, the Philadelphia 76ers trying to stave off elimination tonight against Detroit. And we'll talk about the Rockies' youth. In fact, 2 players that did pretty good in April, Brad Hawpe and, of course, Clint Barmes, who Trevor Hoffman knows all too well. Mr. Goodman.
He does. It'll be Helton, Hawpe, and Atkins, and hopefully more against Trevor Hoffman. We had to deal with a 2-on, 2-out situation in yesterday's ball game. He fell behind Brad Hawpe 3-0. And Hawpe on a 3-0 pitch grounded out to end the ball game. One of the reasons there were a couple of guys on, Mark Loretta, who normally has very sure hands, made an error in that 9th inning yesterday. Hoffman 2 saves shy of 400 in his career. Let's take a look at the Bank One game summary. As you see, Garcia has come in at shortstop for Damian Jackson. Rockies have had exactly 1 base runner since the 3rd inning. That was a bunt single by Corey Sullivan last inning, and he was erased on a double play. Line out off the bat of Clint Barmes. Green, a home run. That came in the 2nd inning. That's been in offensively for the Rockies. Fastball, strike 1.
Well, even though Hoffman picked up his 398th career save in yesterday's ball game, it was a shaky save for Trevor Hoffman. Walk, an error, base hit. Yet 397 other times he got the job done.
That's in there. Changeup. It is, and Helton pokes it down the left field line. He has a chance for 2. He'll get there easily. A leadoff double for Todd Helton. Hoffman went to his bread and butter, and Todd Helton served it down the left field line. So the tying run in scoring position with nobody out in the 9th.
Well, once again, you go to that pitch, a diving down and away from Helton. It shows his power. His success, 9 for 15 against Hoffman, lifetime now for Todd Helton. Just goes out and gets the pitch, read it well out of the hand of Hoffman and made him pay for it.
And Hawpe gets another turn at Trevor Hoffman. Fastball misses just off the corner. You see Hoffman trying to work Hawpe away. Hawpe at the very least wants to move Helton to 3rd. Outfield playing Hawpe as a pull hitter. That's on the corner, 1-1.
surprisingly as much power as he's displayed in the air to the opposite field. We're talking about that area right there.
Tell you what, Brad Hopp has been outstanding. He's been outstanding all year long. Season's only about 4.5, 5 weeks old, but he's been terrific in the 7th inning or beyond. Look at this, George, 9 for 18 in crunch time with a couple of home runs.
Well, that's what you like to see out of a young player. You like to see those aggressive numbers. The RBIs particularly.
You like to see that out of any player. Getting it done late. 1 and 2 on Hopp. Helton at second. 2-1 San Diego, top of 9. Oh, the changeup and a beauty.
Well, a pitch that has been outstanding for Hoffman is just the body language, the late movement. Hopp tried to stay back on that back leg as long as possible, just didn't work out.
Atkins 0 for 3 in the ball game. Matt Holliday's on deck. That's what we were talking about earlier. Rockies need a clutch hit. Atkins fouls off the changeup. He's behind 0-2. Could not hold up. So Hoffman, after the leadoff double, has fanned Hopp and Atkins. And now it'll be left to Holliday.
Holliday 0 for 1 lifetime. Again, the commitment out on that changeup. You just could not hold up as his body went. He tried to check it with his wrist. Hard to do. Only Holliday will see a fastball. In his sequence of pitches, the one fastball was up out of the strike zone that Holliday swung at earlier. Different pitcher, different situation.
Oh, 0-1 gets away. Helton wisely does not attempt to move up. Two have saved more games in the history of baseball. Lee Smith and John Franco. One and 2. I've said it before, George, and you were a reliever. I have never seen a pitcher, starter or reliever, who will double and triple up on their changeup like this guy does.
Well, the only other one, Bruce Sutter, that's all he had was the split. Didn't have a fastball. That's all you one after the other. An unusual pitch, a lot like Hoffman's. The bottom just drops out of it.
And Hoffman will flip it to first, and that's the ball game. Helton had a leadoff double, but he is stranded at second, and the Rockies have lost their 3rd consecutive one-run ball game, 7 in a row overall. Trevor Hoffman, our Gatorade player of the game. career save number 399, and nearly 10% of those against